guys, Kaz here, and today I'm doing the page to screen tag. So I saw this over at the Redheaded Readers channel. I will obviously link her video down below, and the original is just not there anymore. It's been deleted or it's been privatized, so I can't leave the original down below. So question 1 is, what page to screen made you cry as a reaction to both formats? And here's the thing, I cry at lots of books, I cry at lots of films, but apparently I haven't had them cross over yet. On Goodreads, I have a shelf called Don't Wet the Page With Your Tears, which has all the books that I've cried at. And I went through them all and looked at them and thought, right, I've seen the film with that, I didn't cry. See, they don't correlate somehow. It's weird. But a couple of films that I haven't seen yet, but I have cried at the book, include A Monster Calls and The Hate You Give. So I figure perhaps I'll cry at them, and if I do, then it fits that, and if I don't, then apparently they just don't correlate. Question 2 is, what page to screen are you looking forward to this year? And I think, like most people, very obvious choice, but the Shadow and Bone TV series. This series in book form I enjoyed. It wasn't the best, but I do really enjoy the Six of Crows duology, and those characters are also in the TV show. And because it's them characters and the Grisha characters from the trilogy, I feel like the story is going to be slightly different, so it's going to be interesting how they manage to do that, whether it's going to be in a good way or in a bad way. I'm very much hoping it's a good way, but like any adaptation, there's always that bit of scariness, like, is it going to be good or is it going to be shit? Because very often there's not really an in-between there. So I'm looking forward to it, but it's like a little bit apprehensive, but also because I'm not like massive fan of that trilogy, I feel like I'm not going to be mad if certain things change or if things are slightly different. So I'm not going to hate it as much as something that isn't faithful if I loved the original thing, if that makes any sense at all. Question 3, what page to screen were you happy to see discontinued? So here's the thing, I don't even know if it was going to be a series just because of the way it was made. If you've been here a while, you know I'm a fan of Darren Shan. You know I'm a fan of the Cirque du Freak series, the saga of Darren Shan. Here's the thing, they made a film about it and it was absolutely horrific. The Vampire's Assistant is what the film's called. Don't watch it, it's terrible, read the books. And was it ever meant to be a series? Considering it is based on a book series that is 12 books long, you'd think yes. But considering it had spoilers in this first film of things that happened in like book 10 or 11, then they probably knew it was shit and knew that they weren't going to carry it on. So, one of them. It's really bad. It's really bad. Don't watch it. Question 4 is, what series would you like to see as a page to screen? Do it all for the game series. I love it. I think it would make such a fun, college-y type series that's not for kids. It's R-rated, it's 18 plus, it has all the bad stuff that happens in the series, but in a visual form. I would love it. I would love All for the Game to be a TV show, but also again, it's one of them, it'd have to be done so well, the actors would have to be perfect, otherwise it would be shit. But that's the same for any adaptation. Next question is, what page to screen is in production that you are excited about? And again, I can't reiterate this enough. I'm excited but apprehensive because it might be shit but it might be amazing. The Raven Cycle. That is happening, or it's been said that it's happening. Who knows? COVID exists. Stuff has been cancelled. This TV show, haven't heard much about it. But I'm excited and apprehensive because I fucking love The Raven Cycle. And if they did it well, it would be amazing. But if they didn't do it well, it wouldn't be. Next question is, what page to screen do you appreciate as two separate entities? So for this one, I'm going with Ready Player One. I enjoyed the book, I enjoyed the film. The film is quite different to the book, but I also understand why that would be necessary, because stuff that happens in the book wouldn't necessarily be enjoyable visually. So for example, in Ready Player One, they have to do these different challenges, and in the book one of the challenges is to go through a certain film and say it word for word perfectly with all the inflections right, and in a certain amount of time they have to get every single bit of that action right, and that wouldn't be enjoyable to watch because it wouldn't really translate as a visual thing. and also you'd probably have to get the rights to it. But yeah, I appreciated the differences that Ready Player One made for the film, and also slightly in a similar vein, I kind of enjoyed the movie version of The Maze Runner. But moving on to the next question, which is what hyped page to screen did you not vibe with? The changes in The Maze Runner I accepted. I was like, you know what, it's an alright film still, it's not exactly the same as the book. But then the Scorch Trials happens, which is an absolute fucking shit show. The Scorch Trials is so not the Scorch Trials. About 5% of that film happens in the book, and that 5% is the characters have got the same names, and the baddies are called the same thing, and that's it. It's a completely different film. Literally stuff that happens in the Scorch Trials film makes the third book in the actual books obsolete because it's different. Like, something happens in the third book and then in this second film the opposite happens, and I'm like, what the fuck? So yeah, apparently some people like Scorch Trials. I don't know how. You must just not like the original books, which is fine. I know some people don't like that series, but the Scorch Trials is so bad, so not based on the book. At that point they should have just made it a whole new thing and just not even called it an adaptation, because it wasn't. They didn't adapt any of it, they changed everything. So yeah, didn't vibe with that one. Don't know if you can tell. We're about halfway through, so I'll shut up for a bit and let one of the sponsors take over. I will be back. The next question is, what was best page to screen you've ever watched? And I feel like this is quite an obvious one, and a lot of people would probably agree with me. The Hunger Games books and films are both really good. I watched the films not long after I'd read the book, so I still had quite a fresh memory. I read the books not that long ago as well, in terms of when they came out. I read them a few years ago and then I watched the film afterwards, and both of them are really good. So yeah, great adaptation. It happens sometimes. Next question is, what page to screen did you watch and the ending was better on screen? So not necessarily the ending, but just in general I enjoyed the experience more. I would say Brokeback Mountain. The movie is probably just over 2 hours long. It's quite in-depth. It made me cry a lot. The book is about 60 pages long. It's very thin. It's a little novella. You don't really get attached to the characters, so when bad stuff happens it doesn't really affect you emotionally. So I do think that in that sense the film is a lot better than the book. It's a lot more enjoyable. You get more in depth, you care for the characters, you see more about the characters than you do in the little mini novella. Yeah, look, that's Brokeback Mountain. It's very small. I guess you could argue that I watched the film first, so the impact had already happened, but I do think just everything about it, more emotional, more in depth, more characterization in the film than the book. Next question is, what did you enjoyably watch on screen and you'd like to read on the page? So I'm going to change this and say, what films did you watch that you don't really care about reading? And for that I would say, I very much enjoy watching sort of rom-coms, high school type things. I enjoy watching that, but I don't really care to read that sort of stuff. So I've watched the first two To All the Boys I Loved Before films. I will watch the third one eventually. I watched the film for Dumpling. I watched probably other ones that I can't think of right now. But yeah, I enjoy watching that sort of film. It's an hour and a half, it's enjoyable, cute to watch, but I just don't really read that sort of book. So there you go, I adapted the question. Next question is, what page to screen have you neither watched nor read because you can't decide what to do first? Again, I'm gonna just and say, what haven't I watched, because I know I do want to read first but haven't read it. And I would say The Boys TV show, I want to read the comics first, and Lock and Key. Both comic series, both things that I want to read first. I have read the first volume of Lock and Key. I do own the first volume of The Boys on my Kindle, so I should probably read that. But yeah, I just want to experience the original thing before I spoil myself with it, I guess. Next question is, what page to screen can you happily live without? And for this one, I'm going to say The Miseducation of Cameron Post, because the film is very forgettable. Everything good about the book is took away from the film. They've just left with the bare bones, and it's just not very good, the film, unfortunately. The book, there's a lot of different emotions in there, there's a lot of different thoughts and feelings. You feel like you're in the mind of somebody. The film just feels very one note, and anything that's interesting about the book was just taken out the film for some reason. I don't know why. It's just like, oh, let's just have a film and then make the main character kiss some girls, rather than give the backstory about who these girls are or what they mean to her, or, you know, anything. They changed the ending as well, if I remember. The ending in the book is very poignant and very interesting, and then in the film it's just boring. So yeah, it's just a very, very meh film. If you've seen the film and think, oh, that was a bit shit, I won't read the book, then maybe consider reading the book still, because it is a lot better. And the last question is, what have you recently read that you'd like to see on the screen? So I feel like Simon James Green, his books would be absolutely hilarious and fun and interesting as films. There'll be that fun, goofy, high school, awkward but funny films, but also gay. So think stuff like Angus Thongs and Full Frontal, no, that's not what the film's called, Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging. Think that sort of film, but slightly modernised, and also about boys being awkward and stuff rather than girls. I just think it would be really fun and interesting dynamic for his books. And just like most epic fantasies would be great as adaptations if they're done properly and had enough money and had the right characters. I feel like most books, if given enough money and enough production and decent actors and a good screenwriter, would make amazing films, because they're stories and that's what films are, and they're written really well. And I think Hollywood agrees, because all they do is adaptations or remakes, so you know. And there we have it. So I'm not going to tag anyone specifically. If you enjoy films and you enjoy books and you've seen quite a bit of both, then definitely do the tag. I don't want to tag people, because if you don't really watch adaptations, you just can't really do the questions. But if you do it and let me know and I'll watch it, because I think this is a really fun tag, because there are so many adaptations out there. So it's interesting to think what people think. So let me know down below any of your thoughts and opinions on certain adaptations or any of these questions. Say some words, I'll reply. Good times. There are so many that I didn't even mention in this video, so maybe even ask me down there like, oh, have you read this book, have you seen this film? And I might say yes or no. If this is your first video by me and you enjoy it, then please check out some of my others, and if you continue to enjoy, then please subscribe, that'd be awesome. Anyway guys, I'll see you in a few days with another video. Bye.